Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. Today I'm so excited to be talking to author Natasha Yim. Some of you will have seen her on with me earlier in the week when we announced this week's giveaway. And that was for her latest book, which we are going to be talking about today, Luna Picks a Lucky Dumpling. We're also going to be talking about another book that she had come out this year, which is Brave Little Otter, her first board book. She has written so many books. Many of you will know her from Goldy and the Three Pandas, or maybe from some of the books she's done with Disney, like Mulan's New Year. There's also one that's part of the universe of Turning Red, which is like mother, like daughter. And also more of these Luna books, which are so wonderful. We have Luna in the Case of the Missing Mooncakes and Luna's Yum Yum Dim Sum. And this is the third one in that series, Luna Picks a Lucky Dumpling. I just love the illustrations in this one. Also, Violet Kim. Luna Picks a Lucky Dumpling. Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Very nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, why don't we start off? You can introduce yourself and tell us, what was your journey to becoming an author?
So my name is Natasha Yim, and I'm the author of 13 picture books and 2 board books. I started writing from a very young age. I think I was about 11th and 6th or 7th grade, and my English teacher gave us this writing assignment to create this deserted island, and then we had to sort of write a story about it. We made up names for lakes, mountains, people and characters. And I had so much fun doing that and using my imagination that really hooked me into writing. So I have been writing ever since. During my adolescent years, I wrote a lot of poetry, wrote in my journals. I started writing short stories when I was in college. And then I came during college, and right out of college, I started writing sort of magazine articles, nonfiction articles for adult journals, and it wasn't until I was working in a residential treatment center for emotionally challenged youth that I really got into writing for children. I was telling them stories at night. A lot of these kids had not had a bedtime story read to them before, and I just discovered the power of stories to sort of encourage them to talk about their own situations and how it was soothing and comforting to them being away from home. And so I decided, I really like creating stories for kids, and that's what I wanted to do.
That's such a great story. And something else that I've read about you is that you were born in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. You went to elementary school in Singapore, high school in Hong Kong, and then came to the US for college. So how did having that very global, multicultural upbringing, how's that influence the kind of stories that you write?
Well, interestingly enough, in the very beginning of my career, it didn't really. I just sort of wrote stories that came into my head, and my very first published picture book was a book called Otter's Rainy Day, and it's about a little boy who wanted to play in the rain and couldn't because his mom couldn't take the time to go out with him, and he ended up creating havoc in his house, and then they both decided to go out and play in the rain together at the end. And the illustrator drew this little boy with blonde curls, and then my next book after that was a nonfiction book. I wrote about Cixi, the Dragon Empress, who's the last Empress of China, and I did a lot of research and really connected, I think, with my cultural roots. So, from then on, I said, okay, I don't really want to write stories where the main character is some little boy with blonde hair. That is not really part of my culture, and I really connected with my cultural roots, and there's so many and I love folktales and legends, and there's so many wonderful folktales and legends. I really wanted to bring that to American audiences who may not be as familiar with these wonderful tales. So that's how I got started with just kind of writing more stories about my culture, about the countries I've lived in, and also bringing some maybe not so common folktales and fairy tales to American audiences.
Well, I have something to show you. Hold on just a
Okay.
second. So when I was reading your biography, I think a lot of us know you for your more recent picture books,
Mm-hmm.
especially Goldilocks and the Three Pandas, but also, you know, like the Luna books and so on. And I didn't realize you had written this one. You mentioned about the Empress of China,
Yep.
which
Mm-hmm.
I won this. This is from like 2012, I think. So quite a
Yes.
while ago, one of your
Yeah.
earlier ones. This is from a really amazing series, The Thinking Girl's Treasury of Real Princesses. I won the whole set many years ago, a long time ago, from some blog giveaway. I won the
Oh,
entire
wow.
set, and we've
Yeah.
used them so much when I was homeschooling. And when I read that, I was like, wait, she wrote those books? I couldn't put my hands on the Empress of China one, but definitely have this one. I just think that's so fun because that kind of leads me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Is you've written so many different kinds of books. As I mentioned, the Goldilocks and Three Pandas, which was a Junior Library Guild and Scholastic Book Club selection. You've written several books for Disney, like
Mm-hmm.
Mulan's New Year. And then, of course, my daughter loved that you wrote one in the universe of Turning Red, like mother and daughter, like
Yes.
mother, like daughter. The Luna books, which we're going to be talking more about, the storytelling math series. And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, you have board books like Brave Little Otter, nonfiction books like this. And as you mentioned, you also write nonfiction articles. You've written for adults and you've also written for kids magazines like
Mm-hmm.
Highlights and Appleseed. So you have written in such a wide range of genres for all different age groups, a lot of very different topics. What would you say is the thread that kind of connects your writing? Or is there one?
I think if you look at the breadth of my work, a lot of the stories are about family,
Mm,
togetherness, celebrating like festivals and some festival meals with the family. So I think just that tie in, that connection to family is really important to me, and especially if um, in the Chinese culture, traditions and rituals are all part of that, right? So connecting to all those rituals and traditions, and every year your family, has the same sort of process, of celebrating a festival, and all that is strengthens that community and the familial bond. And so I think that's very important in my work, and I find myself gravitating to those type of themes, themes about just being with family, and sometimes as kids, I know as a kid growing up, it's hard to appreciate those family moments. You're forced to eat dinner with your aunties that you may see once a year, and you don't realize how important that those family gatherings are. So I think as an adult, I wanted to sort of tap into those feelings of just that community and in those family gatherings, and now I appreciate it so much more. So I want to encourage kids to really appreciate, being with family, and
mhm.
even if they're aunties that you're forced to kiss on the cheek, and you've only seen
That
them
pinch your
once a
cheeks.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think family is important, and they're important in your lives.
Well, talking about you had two books that came out this year.
Hmm.
Speaking about the range of topics, so you have one for very young children, like I said, and you've written for all different age groups. So you have Brave Little Otter, It's Okay to Wait. It's part of the Chicken Soup for the Soul Babies series. Tell us about the book and the inspiration behind it.
Well, the chicken soup for the soul baby. So that is actually the second one. The first one I did was a board book called No School for Me,
Mhm.
and those books are work for hire, meaning that there was a collaboration between Bridge Publishing and the Chicken Soup for the Soul folks, and they come up with the themes that they want to focus on, and then they get writers to write it. And um, so I sort of got a, a vague theme, like we want to do a book on bravery. And
Mhm.
then and I love the process because at least it's not always the case with work for hire, but in this situation with the Charlesbridge editors that I worked with, it was very collaborative, and I loved that process because it was like, okay, so we sort of explore like different, what does bravery mean? It could mean like, well, maybe being with a new babysitter for the first time. That's kind of brave for, young kids. Or going to school for the first time. That's sort of a brave act to take on. And then we sort of explore like different things. And then the editors decided, we wanted more to be a sort of incorporate other things, other brave things that you might do. So it became, instead of focus on just one thing, it became like, okay, so they're going to the beach and, trying to get into the cold waves. That might be a brave thing. Trying a new food might be a brave thing. So we sort of included those elements in it. So it became just sort of a general theme of bravery and different ways you can be brave. Trying new things became a theme. And so that's how we settled on this story. But it was working, very closely with the editors and just throwing ideas back and forth to see, what seems to work best for this series.
I think I made a mistake before of saying that this is your first board book, but it's your second.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it is quite a bit younger age than usually what you write for. Was it hard to think about, okay, how am I going to write about what could be an abstract concept for this very young age and using, really simple text, really very short sentences? How did you decide how to approach it for that age group?
Yeah, it was definitely very scary. Writing picture books, you're used to kind of writing short anyway, but then to make it like even short, and that in itself is hard enough. And then to make it even shorter, I think
Right.
the word count goal is 150 words to tell this whole story with a little bit of an arc and bring the characters out. That was challenging. And I think what I did was I didn't worry about word count in the first draft. I just wanted to sort of figure out what the story was all about. So I sort of, told the story. And then with the second pass, then, I sort of like looked at it and figured out ways to, okay, where did I need to cut out unnecessary words? What can be shown in illustration rather than in the text, things like that.
Right. And now, of course, we have your other new book, which is quite different. Luna picks a lucky, excuse me, picks a lucky dumpling, which I've had a chance to read. It's such a fun story. I mean, when you tell to somebody that it teaches math to kids, you think, how is this going to be? But it is just a very fun, and kids may not even pick up on the fact that that's what they're learning. But of course, as an adult, we know that they are. But tell us about the book and just kind of the idea behind the series. There also, I should mention, have Luna's Yum Yum did some, and Luna in the case of the missing mooncakes. What was kind of your concept of what the series was going to be about?
The series again, the series was sort of decided on by Charlesbridge, and Charlesbridge collaborated with a company called Turk, and they're an educational company. And so Marlene Kleiman is the math expert I've been working with through all these books, and she's just wonderful. I mean, my sister laughs because when I was growing up, I was not good at math.
And that's what I was going to ask. Did you love math when you were?
No, I did not love math. I think it was my worst subject. My sister laughs that, here I am. I've written 3 math books, and I'm still not. I don't see myself as being good at math at all. And so Marlene really, really helped me out through the math, because I came up with this story idea, but she really helped me with how to weave the math concepts in, and what was sort of what was okay for this age group and what was maybe a little bit too abstract, and we needed to kind of simplify the math to make it a little bit more understandable. So she was a great help. But really, I just wanted to focus on, with the first one, Luna's Yum Yum Dim Sum. I think I started with setting because I love dim sum. And I always, and that's again another big family tradition of ours. We used to go to dim sum with the family on Sundays, um, and I wanted to write a story set in a dim sum restaurant. And I also thought, dim sum is a perfect place to kind of do math with, because you have all kinds of shapes and sizes and different colors in dim sum, and then you're ordering stuff from the cart, and then you consume the food, and then so you take subtracting what you just ordered, and then you order some more, and you add. So I did this whole first draft on that concept, and my editor at Charles says it's a good story, but we really are not looking for a straight counting book story. We really want the characters to do some actual math problem solving. So it was back to the drawing board, and again, Marlene and I tossed it around some ideas, and then we figured, I finally figured out, hey, how about we figure out how to divide up like the dim sum among so many people. So our question then was, is it better to divide up 6 pork buns among 3 kids, or 3 pork buns among
Right.
or whatever the
Especially because
opposite
it also
was.
gets into things that kids care about being fair.
Yeah,
I mean, if
yeah,
there's something kids are focused on, it's making sure everything is divided up evenly. So I love that you
exactly.
tap into that.
Exactly, yeah. So it was a really fun story to write, and I got to write about my dim sum restaurant and dim sum in general. And then after that, all of the other books I wanted to, in the second book, Lunar, in the Case of the Missing Mooncakes, I love Mid Autumn Festival and
Mhm.
eating mooncakes, and the other thing that Charles Bridge did was they would send a list of, here's some math concepts that
Mhm.
we're hoping to feature in one of the books, and then the authors get to sort of pick whatever concept they want to write about. And I saw logic on there, and I used to love logic mysteries as a kid. I
Yeah.
said, oh, I want to write, a logic mystery. So that was what the Case of the Missing Mooncakes became.
Right. And then, so this one you are doing probability. How
Hmm.
did you decide to tie it into the Dragon Boat Festival? Because I thought it was such an interesting choice, because most people, if they're familiar with any Chinese holidays, it would probably be Lunar New Year and maybe
Uh,
Mid Autumn Festival. The Dragon Boat Festival, probably less known. Why did you decide you wanted to highlight it?
because of that reason, that you don't see a lot of Dragon Boat Festival stories out there, because it is a lesser known holiday, but it was one of my top 3. So it was Chinese
Um,
New Year, Mid Autumn Festival, and Dragon Boat Festival were my favorite holidays growing up. And the Dragon Boat Festival has, yeah, exactly, with the dragon boat races, that was always so exciting to, like, have your family meal, and then we would go out and we would watch the dragon boat races, and the drum beats, and the race was so exciting, and I wanted to bring that out in a story. So probability is, this was probably the hardest of the 3 books. Oh, I love her
I love that.
illustrations.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
the this math concept was probably the hardest one of the
Mhm.
3 to write, because probability for this age group, and not making it too didactic or sort of a
Right.
boring math textbook. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was hard, and I, at the first pass, I started out with, maybe the main character can pick, like, which dragon boat is going to win,
Right. Mhm.
but that leaves a lot to chance, because you can't, if you're not one of the rowers, you don't have any control of which dragon boat is going to win the race.
Right.
And they really wanted to focus on the characters um, impacting the math. So in this case, we decided to focus on the food of Dragon Boat Festival, which is the sticky rice dumplings. And there's always like a golden egg yolk in
Mhm.
the dumpling. And sometimes, and so we decided, let's see how they can maximize the chances of getting a dumpling with a sticky egg yolk. And that's where the probability then came in.
It is, yeah, it's so clever how they do it, and then sometimes someone will come along and mess things up, and they have to
Yeah.
redo. Or hold on, there's one that I really love when they get upset because someone's mixed stuff. Let me see if I can find it really quick. This one, just so upset. But it's such a great way to talk about. I mean, I felt like I understood probability better. I mean, because it's like you say, whether you're talking about the math or whether you're talking about Dragon Boat Festival, it doesn't feel heavy-handed. It doesn't feel didactic. It's just woven so naturally into the story. Um, and I also love the character. I mean, of Luna herself. She's such a great character because she's such a problem solver. And of course, it's great to see a Chinese American girl like center stage, but and the family itself, excuse me, which is very diverse. It's not really remarked upon, but it's just
Mhm.
kind of part of the story. What was your inspiration for the character of Luna herself?
Well, I've always been drawn to spunky heroines and to girls who take charge and lead the way. And, so if you look at my other works, like my nonfiction, I was drawn to the story of Sacajawea,
Yes.
who's the only woman on the core of discovery, traveling all the way across the American West. And she was very impactful in many ways. She wasn't the guy that most people sort of associate her with. She was more of their interpreter, but she
Mhm.
was, she helped them survive because she could recognize all these uh, edible plants along the way. So she had a great impact on that journey. And Sophie the Dragon Empress, she was, the first woman in Chinese history to really run the country, even though a lot of times she had to pretend like her male ministers were actually running
Mhm.
the show because of the cultural limitations and all that. But I've always been drawn to strong female characters and wanting my female characters and protagonists to really take charge
Right.
and solve problems.
What do you hope kids take away from this book? I mean, obviously they're going to learn about math and learn about the Dragon Boat Festival, but and I just want to show this detail. Oh, they have the little dragon in her hair. I just love the illustrations. What do you hope they kind of take away from this series? Like you said about having this, problem solver
Mm-hmm.
character.
Well, it's just that, there are different ways to come at a problem, a solution. There's not only just, and that's true of all the storytelling math series. There's not only just one solution to a problem, and that, if something happens to mess up your original solution, like,
Mm,
people keep coming in and messing
right.
up the order of things and they can't figure out which is the one with the lucky egg yolk dumpling. um, then you go back to the drawing board and you try something new and you
Mm,
try something different, and eventually you come up with that solution. So I think that is important for kids to know that, don't get frustrated, don't give up. There's other ways to approach the problem.
I love that. Well, and so congratulations on these new books that you've had come out this year. Is it too soon to ask what you're working on next?
I'm always working on several things. So I have
You must be
other,
because you're such a prolific author. You must always have something going.
I always have something going on, but if you look at like the timelines,
Mm,
it's like every few years. They don't come out like every year, every six
right.
months, like some authors have it. So um, it is a long haul, and especially for picture books, 'cause you have the illustrations, so they take like 2.5, 3 years to come out on the bookshelves. But I am working on several different picture book projects, and I'm very excited I'm working on a middle grade historical fiction adventure. That
Oh,
is a trilogy, and I just finished book one. So I'm excited to revise it and send it to my agent, and hopefully, one of these days it'll come out as a book.
that's so exciting. So this is your first middle grade book
It
then,
is,
right?
yeah.
How was
It's
that?
my
How was that switching to writing for an older audience?
It's very freeing in some ways because you are not constricted by word count.
Right.
But I have to say, this book or the concept of this book has taken over 15 years
Oh,
to
wow.
write because one, because I keep getting sidetracked by picture book projects. So, but but also the plot has gone quite. It incorporates an old Chinese legend, and the plot has gone
Mm,
quite complex. And it was actually my former agent who suggested that I break it up into three books. And so actually that sort of, excited me because I was very close to the what I consider the end of book one.
mhm.
And so now I'm ready to sort of launch into writing the second book of the series.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well, I can't wait until we get to read that. Do you think you'll do more in the series with Luna or in the Chicken Soup for the Soul Babies series?
Not for the chicken soup because I think the contract ran out with Chicken
Mm,
Soup for the Soul. But they are looking for more storytelling math books. And
mm,
actually, I've been in communication with Marlene, the math expert, about what other concepts do you think is most needed in the picture book
mm.
market. And she's going to come up with a list for me, and I'm going to see if I can work those into a
Right.
story.
Oh, well, whenever that happens, I can't wait to find out more about it. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Leanna. This was great.
Yeah, this is so much fun. And anybody watching, if you joined us late, don't worry. The whole thing will be up on Instagram in just a few minutes and later on YouTube. And if you would like your own copy of Luna Picks a Lucky Dumpling, you don't have much time. It ends today. We are doing a giveaway. So go back, look at our pinned post. It only takes a few minutes to enter, and you could win your very own copy. Natasha, thank you so much. This was fun to talk with you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.